What's up, everybody? I am super glad to bring you a special live show we have today. Normally, you just see myself and my lovely friend underneath me, Zez, but today we have a special third guest with us, Kyle from Kaitor Industries and the newly acquired Retro Access Cables Company. He's here with us today, so we are live, and let's just go in and say hello from everybody. First off, Zez, how are you doing today?
Good, mate. Doing well. It's hot here again. Just started to rain. Had a good day. Been out and about. So, what do we do today? Oh yeah, because my fiance and I get married in 2 weeks. So we went and got the wedding rings today. Went and picked them up. And
That's always fun
for them. God damn. I just had to fucking pay for that shit. So,
congratulations.
Feeling great, but also a little bit, less lighter than I used to be. So yes, that was delightful. And so we're doing good and happy to meet Kyle for the first time. Pleasure to have you on. I'm thank you for offering to come on the show, mate.
No, thanks for having me. I think this will be a lot of fun. I don't really do podcasts, so this will be an interesting experience. I've done only one in the past, and it's great to meet you, Zez and Steve. Good to see you again. Love the shirt.
Thanks.
Are you attending the wedding in 2 weeks? Is that?
Yeah, that's I was like trying on tuxedos and Zez. I've had a recent loss of funds, and so I had to go with the low cheap man version here of the tuxedo. So.
Right. Steve, now how would you possibly be able to attend my wedding because you don't have a passport?
Don't worry, I have a fast track to a passport if I need it. I can pull some strings.
Oh, those Korean people? Is this some sort of plan
maybe,
Korean
right?
Barbecue people? Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I've got actually my wife is in charge of the passport office over there, which is even more pitiful that I don't have a passport. No. That my wife is in charge of the passport office, like in the city I live in. So anyway, that's
Kyle,
Kyle, what's going? Yeah,
of course I have a passport. Yeah,
of course.
Of course.
Yeah.
Kyle probably has three passports.
He's even used it too, I bet. Oh my god.
Yeah, many times.
And not just at the alcohol store, but like to go to countries and shit.
Yeah, and I hear a rumor now that the Shenzhen region, Europe, they no longer stamp. They do like a face scan now. I haven't been in a while, but I don't know if that's true. But now you can't collect the stamps like Pokemon
no, it isn't.
Badges.
Yeah, so you don't get as many anymore. So if you were getting into the Schengen, you might still get a stamp, maybe not, but definitely nowhere near what you did before. And you'll only get one when you're flying into Frankfurt or somewhere boring, right? Fucking
yeah. Everybody always picks Frankfurt as the boring place, and it's true.
It's true. Yeah, I mean, you got some schnitzel, you got a bread roll, but that's about it. Like nothing else is really happening in Frankfurt. Hello to all my German friends out there.
Yeah.
I would not know because I've never been to Europe. It's on my bucket list.
You don't have a passport, Steve. That's what I've heard. That's what Kyle was saying earlier. I don't know. He's talking shit about you.
Oh gosh, it scares me enough to travel up to Hartford once a year. So anyway, Kyle, what's new? Like, how are you doing? I can give a little bit of introduction. My past connections with Kyle go back quite a bit. I was thinking about this morning because Kyle has his original, maybe more known things that he had done in the past for retro gaming and the gaming scene were mostly printables and extra peripherals kind of to support other devices, and he has helped me for a long time with prints for replacement parts within CRTs and random things like that a lot. And then I've always seen you come and have new items. You also had I knew about your business with Jurassic Park, tricking out Jeeps to look like Jurassic Park Jeeps, but I was a little bit surprised to find out that you'd recently were the person to acquire Retro Access. So that's a little introduction. I'd love to go and let you have a couple minutes here.
I appreciate the people in the stream. We've said ha Retro Access. I think what we'll do, let's hear a little bit about Kyle. Let's hear about his background, and we're getting. Don't worry, we're getting to the Retro Access shit, people.
Yeah.
It's coming. But we want to hear about Kyle because maybe that, paints some backstory. Maybe that answers some of your questions as we're going through there. So yeah, you've done. So I guess can I just start with the Jurassic Park thing? Like, do you have one of those Jeeps in your driveway,
absolutely.
like right now?
Yeah. So, going way back, Kaitor Industries, I started it over 10 years ago, and it was originally started as a Seinfeld joke. If you remember, like Kramer starts, what is it, like Chromatic Industries or something. And, it's just like a holding company for hobbies and stuff like that. But then it became a real thing very quickly. So I'm in what's called the Jurassic Park Motor Pool, where there's a large community of people that actually build replica Jurassic Park Jeeps. And some are just tributes, but a lot of them are screen accurate. Like there are people that they'll get on your case and say, no, then the screen accurate ones, they used a grade 5 bolt, not a grade 8 bolt. So this Jeep's not accurate, nerd stuff, but people nitpicking to the nth degree. So I've been building, I've really been like the only builder in the world for a lot of these parts, and I ship these parts all over the world. So if you ever see a Jurassic Park Jeep, there is a very, very high chance that that my parts help build that Jeep. And then
Parts that you build. What are some of these parts that someone might want to order?
Yeah, it's mostly steel parts, and I have made some mods as well. So like on the movie Jeeps, they had a light bar that went around the frame. If you remember when Nedry crashes into that log and he has to get the winch out and the lights are on top of the Jeep, like that's a custom piece. So I build that. I build some of the tow hooks on the front. I've built replica winch plates they've been out of production 30 years. And other odds and ends. I built a Bluetooth mod so that people that my website is pathetic. That's got to be a 15-year-old design. I know. I'm working on a new one. And I lost my train of thought there. Yeah, so I have a Bluetooth mod so people that want the original AM/FM radio can use their modern phone that has Bluetooth. Not many cell phones had Bluetooth in 1994, as it turns out. 1992 rather. So you can basically have like Bluetooth inside of this AM/FM radio. So I've done stuff like that, and because I have this fabrication expertise and manufacturing background, I have the equipment to do 3D printing and PCBs, electronics, and things like that. So it obviously retro gaming for those that. I'll turn the camera.
And where did you develop these skills in metalwork? Where did this come from?
That was a lot of that. Honestly, was homegrown. Just working on cars and projects, fixing lawnmowers. Fabbing stuff in the shop. My background is in mechanical engineering, and my day job is in manufacturing. So at a large factory with global presence and thousands of pieces moving every day, all day. So a lot more complex than steel parts and 3D printed stuff. But so the fabrication is kind of like a hobby, and it turned into a 5 to 9.
Oh right, I see what you mean. The evening, right? The evening
yes,
work.
yeah,
sure, got it. I'd think about that for a moment. Right. So you were able to. Do you have to outsource any of this stuff, or have you got that stuff in your home? This metalwork gear.
Yeah. Originally, so I have a CNC plasma cutter. So it is, if you imagine like a 3D printer moves a head around, this does the same thing, but it moves a plasma jet that cuts through thick steel. And I used to cut all of those parts in house, but as you can imagine, I have a baby, have a day job, Kaitor Industries is growing. I just don't have the capacity as one person. So I have outsourced some of the cutting of what I call blanks. And then I do, the bending, the powder coating, the welding, I do all that in-house still. And then 3D printing, I do all in-house. PCBs design are mine, but I obviously don't have a circuit board fabrication facility in my home. So of course I rely on factories to supply the PCBs.
Tremendous, right? So yeah, I had no idea that this subgenre niche existed. That people want to pimp out Jurassic Park cars. Did you see that movie and you just go, I want that car? Or when does that kind of itch develop in you that you're like, I'm gonna make the fucking car?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm like right at the age where that was an impressionable age for me. Because when did that movie? It came out in '93, so I was 7-ish, right? So it's a very, very impressionable age, and you remember those things. And then you grow up, and you're in your 20s, and you're like, I want that thing that I couldn't get when I was 7 years old. It's the reason why you have all that stuff behind you. It's the reason why I have a pile of Game Boys behind me. It's the reason why Steve has a shed full of PVMs. Like car enthusiasts, they buy the the 90s cars from anime that they couldn't get, right? And now they have a job and a life and a garage, and they can get that stuff. So like everybody wants what they couldn't get when they were 8 years old. And that was kind of like how I got into it. And now it was actually featured in our wedding. Like we drove off in the Jurassic Park Jeep. We've done like events and Comic-Con, like small Comic-Con stuff, like little small city ones. It's been a hobby for me. And of course I'm a big part of the Jurassic Park motor pool as one of the the vendors and partners.
Yeah, wait, is that the name of the community, Jurassic Park
Yeah.
Motor Pool, or what is that?
Yeah,
Community's name.
that is what they're called, and it's kind of interesting, this like delineation you see where anything that's automotive based are all on like the meta services like Instagram and Facebook, and they are not on Twitter, they're not on Discord. Like the motor pool's Discord channel is dead, but then the gaming community is like the polar opposite. Like everyone's on Discord and Twitter, and it's just interesting how that kind of organically formed over time. I don't know why that is, but it's super interesting.
Interesting. So that means the motor pool doesn't have this. I don't want to say Discord conversations are quality, certainly not a lot of the time, but let's say these long form chats, that's a different kind of method of communication than with the motor societies.
Yeah, like there's a few guys, like one of the guys, Jurassic Vic, he's on TikTok. I don't even have a TikTok, and he has a huge following. He buys a bunch of parts from me because he actually he does like the full build. So if you wanted to buy a complete Jurassic Park Jeep and have it delivered to your door, like a replica, he can do that for you. But I don't
How
think
much is that going to set me back?
In US dollars, probably
Sure.
20 to 30, depending on how accurate you want to go.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
It's not,
For the
all right.
full thing, yeah.
Sure. I'm just checking, just in case.
Yeah.
Never know. Right on. Okay. So so you're part of this community, the Jurassic Park. You're into this. You're getting into this, and then how do you start to branch out from there? What's your next parts or things that you're making outside of Jurassic Park car stuff?
Yeah. So obviously the retro gaming is the other half, and that is, like Steve said, it's a lot of 3D printed accessories. It's replacement parts. I've made accessories for a lot of the RetroTank devices. So like, basically SCART accessories that will either rotate or move how that SCART cable goes into the device, or hold it in place, or, different things like that. So yeah, Steve has some of them up right now. There's the 5XYZ is like a little flip device because
Yep.
the SCART cable, I think it was supply chain challenges are the reason why Mike originally designed it the way he did, because I think that came out back during COVID. So it flips it around so that the cable faces backwards instead of forwards. It's a little thing, but a lot of people have liked that. And then with the RetroTank 4K, which is an astoundingly amazing device, I have a little device called a SCART lock, which Mike was smart enough to put provisions in, little posts where you can screw in, kind of like a VGA connector, right? And you can screw in there it is, screw in some type of connector or a brace to hold that cable in place. Because one of the problems with SCART is all of the new female connectors that are on the market are all kind of loose, and they wear a little quicker than the ones that were sold during the 90s. And that might be tool wear at the factories. The factories probably bought a machine from a Japanese factory, and who knows? Like, we can speculate on the reason why. Maybe the quality of those female connectors has gone downhill since the early 90s. No idea. But the result is these connectors tend to fall out, and then you're missing a signal, or you're missing your sync, and it gets all squirrely on you. So being able to hold that SCART connector firmly in place, like on the GS SCART SW or the RetroTank 4K, it just ensures that as you're jiggling those cables, you don't have to go in and constantly fix it.
Yeah, and I mean, just to add to that, that is like a wear point over time on these cables, is because of moving all the time. The casing on these, generally the plastic that, covers the SCART part of the female. I've had that crack so many times just from generally removing it, moving it around. And this is nice that it holds it in place and kind of makes sure it doesn't really move and keeps it from tearing apart.
Yeah, and any connector has a finite cycle count. So like you can look up the spec sheet for like a micro USB versus a USB-C, and they're going to tell you how many cycles that connector is designed for. So like, insert, remove. It might be 5,000, might be 200,000. And the trend with these kind of call them obsolete connectors, they're no longer really used in industry outside of like enthusiast devices for obsolete equipment. They're probably just not manufactured to the same standards that they were in the 90s. So the life cycle that they can tolerate is probably lower. So people just have that finicky behavior where they tend to fall out. And that was a solution that was just born to solve that.
Yeah, real nice. I mean, I'm living in SCART territories here in Europe, where I can go down to my local thrift store and there is, on any given day, 10 SCART, 10 high quality SCART leads just in the, 10-cent bin, so to speak. I can certainly attest that they were built to last back in the day. The regular ones are all shielded and good, let alone if you find some really high quality. You find a monster cable, it's a good day. Right. So, okay, I can imagine these days the tooling's different. So, so you just got yourself a 3D printer and started to go for it at this stage? Is that how you moved from metal work to plastic work?
Yeah. I had 3D printers. I had a few Prusas a while ago. No longer have those units. They were great. They're slow compared to the modern equipment. And as I started to push out more and more designs, almost all of them, I give away for free on printables. So almost every design that I have is on my my printables page. And there are a lot of designs that I don't sell because they're so weird or so niche. It's just not worth it, right? Like, why set something up to sell one a year? So I give those away for free on the printables store, so anybody can print it themselves or go to their local library and print it, or whatever they need to do there.
Interesting. So we're running Kyoto Industries. We've got the Jurassic Park stuff. We're getting into plastic and the 3D printing. So at this stage, as a business, now we know no one in this industry is making the mega bucks. Now, would you say you're breaking even, making a little bit off the top? How is the little bit off the top compared to your time? How do you feel about this, like from a business perspective, let's say?
Yeah. Obviously, I'm not going to give numbers, but
Absolutely.
I will. Yeah. There are some years that do better than others. This year, I've actually had a huge amount of capital tied up in a device I'm working on, which is the first like mainstream product called the RetroTap. And everything is retro something. We got RetroTech and RetroTink and Retro RGB and Retro Access. And I guess I should have come up with a more clever and original name, but I didn't. So RetroTap is a little power distribution unit. I've got a pre-production unit here let's see if it'll focus. Nope, won't focus. Okay, well, it's this is injection molded, so this is like a proper production product that I hope will sell in volume. And so there's been a lot of sunken cost into the injection molding tooling, the PCB design, prototyping, beta testing, the cable ecosystem. This is going to go through FCC, CE, and UK certification. So there's obviously big cost associated with that. So those things, I obviously haven't sold a single unit yet. So I haven't recovered any of that money.
Now, what are we, but for anybody who doesn't know anything about this device that you just held up, just what is this? This is a power device, right?
Yeah. I know that's not the main topic of conversation, but I think it's pretty interesting. So the challenge that it's trying to solve is all of those annoying wall warts, little power bricks with the connection on it. And everybody struggled with those things. It's just, they're awful. They're a huge headache. You can never put two side by side. They always face a different direction, and they're aging. So if you hook up like the is it 1706, the old Genesis one. Someone will know.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It's a linear power supply, and what you'll find if you hook it up to a scope is those caps are basically shot, and you'll actually see like the harmonic of your 60 hertz power, usually is like a 120 hertz wave on the scope. So it's like it's bleeding through, and it's very noisy. In other words, it's not very clean power, and they're bulky. Like I said, you can't put them side by side, and you just have this rat's nest of wire and power connections going into your mains in the back of your setup. So this has one input, and there are 10 9-volt outputs and one 5-volt output. It's a USB-C down here. And what you can do is you can power virtually any retro gaming console that has a barrel connector. So Super Nintendo, NES, Genesis 1 and 2, Mega Drive, CD, 32X, the Neo Geos. It'll even power the Mr. FPGA because of the 5-volt here. So it has enough juice to do that. It's 6 amps. You can power multiple consoles simultaneously even. And every single output is fused with resettable fusing and has power filtering to deliver clean power to each of the devices. And I've done, as you can imagine with power, it requires a significant amount of testing to make sure that everything is both safe and you're getting nice clean power on every single output. So I wanted to launch this earlier this year. Unfortunately, between all the supply chain issues and the certifications and getting all the injection molding tooling done is taking a lot longer than I expected. It's still in the pre-production phase, let's call it, but it is very far along. Hopefully I'll have more to announce in the near future.
And how does the RetroTap deal with like different consoles have got slightly different plug sizes and then also different polarity? So is that about having a particular RetroTap to Super Famicom Japan cable and a 2 Super Famicom PAL cable? Is that how you'll solve that situation?
Yeah, so it is designed to be what's called Poka-yoke, oops proof. And it basically, the connectors are different sizes depending on the polarity and depending on the voltage. So the USB-C is 5-volt only. There's a PC Engine Duo, which is a 6.5 millimeter output. There's a 4.8 millimeter output, which are for like your Genesis 2, your 32X. And then you have the 5.5 millimeter output, which is Super Nintendo uses an adapter, but your Genesis 1, your NES, the original TurboGrafx, I believe the Jaguar is under that as well. So they're designed, they're like keyed, so to speak, with unique connectors, and then the cables themselves will be labeled with a flag, which will tell you what consoles are compatible with that cable. That way, people don't really have to think about it, and they're not going to break their stuff as long as they read the label. And you just sometimes a big ask, but
I was laughing because weren't we talking to Roger about him sticking the wrong polarity into his Super Nintendo? Because you can't ultimately prevent that. If somebody sticks something that fits in, it's a wrong polarity, it's always going to blow the fuse.
Well, that's the challenge, right? Is like
and then they're going to come back and blame you, even though it's not your problem.
Yeah. It's embarrassing. I've done it. So I have
I've done
my
it
desk.
too, yeah.
My desk here is wired with 12-volt barrel connectors because everything you buy, all like the China accessories like LED lights and stuff like that you buy on Amazon, they all use like 12-volt, 5.5 millimeter center positive. So the outside is negative, inside is positive. I have like a bunch of connections on my desk because I have like a fume extraction. I have a LED light for like with a magnifying glass. I have the back glow, like all this stuff. One day I was using my Mr. FPGA, which is 5-volt, just grabbed the wrong barrel because they're all back there, slammed it in. You got that nice like smoke smell, Well, yeah, thankfully it only fried, the USB expansion board. So that wasn't too bad to replace, but.
So you're going to be selling, is your plan to have obviously the unit RetroTap? Will it come with a number of cables, or what are you planning on having with the base unit?
Yeah. So I want to make it as easy as possible for people, and I want also I have a huge focus on affordability. Like this is not going to be like a $200 device. It'll be well below that. It'll be lower cost than buying like 11 triads is the idea. You know, it's simplified. You don't have this rat's nest. And I have developed an entire ecosystem of cables with custom connectors that have my logo on them, that have the little cable flag logos. They're all heavy duty 18 gauge stranded copper. So it's not like copper clad aluminum. It's not cheap junk. They are like extremely high quality power cables. And they're available in 2 meter and 4 meter. So it's about 6 feet and 13-ish feet, 6.5 and 13, I think. So that way it gives people a lot of options, because I know some people out there, they have like this sprawling setup that kind of like curves around their entire room because they've got 30 consoles or something crazy. So like that 12, 13 foot cable is going to be awesome for those guys. And I want to have everything available so it's super simple. So you can just go on and like basically check off what consoles you have and add those cables. And it's not proprietary. So if you wanted to save a couple bucks and buy like a security camera cable on Amazon, you could. Now, those are much thinner, chintzier cables. So I wouldn't save a couple bucks to do that. You know, you're only saving like a few dollars, but it's available. Like I'm not locking people out with proprietary connectors and things like that.
Okay. Well, and I mean, going that route, a lot, you know, the connectors are usually not as good. Connection points, sometimes it's rated to the wrong 50 ohms. You get all kinds of wacky stuff, you know. So.
Oh yeah, I mean the biggest thing I see is they'll say it's like a 4 amp rated cable, and then you open it up and it's like 24 gauge inside. It's like there is no way. Yeah. Maybe 4 amps for like 2 milliseconds. You do not want to use this cable for that. You'll cause a fire. Like you can actually feel the heat coming off the. I've tested it. You can wrap your hand around it and feel the heat, because I have load simulators, and it's just unsafe. But yeah, I mean,
winter maybe.
You see those like 10 million lumen flashlights on Amazon. They just tend to overrate and overpromise.
Oh yeah. So, good time to maybe segue here after a little long chat. So we've got everything moved up to kind of where you were, and then like. I mean, I had heard about your brother project. I've seen you talk about it. So again, I was really more surprised than anything when Bob let us know that it was you who had purchased Retro Access. So what do you think, Zez? So let's just maybe segue over and
yeah, let's do it.
Where do we want to get in? Like, where do we want to start here? Like,
I think we'll start with Kyle's story. Like,
yeah, Kyle, where did you come into this?
How
and
do you know about it? Why?
What do you want? Whatever you want to say is welcome.
Whatever
if you don't want to say something, welcome to say. Don't say. You don't want to mention it. We'll breeze past it. So.
Yes, that's
your story, and then we'll.
There's nothing left.
Then
to
we'll
say.
grill you later.
Kidding. Yeah. So it's there were other buyers that came and went that were interested in Retro Access going back to I think like December or November. I was not involved at that point. I was not one of those interested parties. There were several. I believe we began discussions around April, maybe May, somewhere in there, because other buyers had fallen through. They backed out because of tariffs. There were challenges in the business. I don't want to give like too much away, but I think people that have been following the account on Twitter and elsewhere have kind of seen some of that. Challenges with lead time and deliverability. Those are some of the biggest ones, and reliable ability to purchase. The purchasing windows were so small and so tight. People just couldn't get the stuff they wanted when they wanted. Like if you go to a grocery store and they're out of eggs 2 out of 7 days a week, you're probably going to find a different grocery store. So I think that is like a key problem that needs to be solved. Like that can't be the case long term. And the other buyers I think also walked away because a lot of the business, and this isn't like a knock on anybody, but a lot of the business was run out of the owner's head. So and I know a lot of businesses are run that way. A ton of restaurants are run that way. There are very, very large businesses that are run entirely on tribal knowledge. I personally don't care for operating that way. Like I want extensive documentation. I want it so like if I get hit by a bus tomorrow, there's a manual that you can hand to anybody and they can do my job. Like that is how I operate. But it's all how you operate is going to be different depending on who you ask. So a lot of people, I think, walked away because they didn't have a manual on how to run the business. They didn't have instructions on how to build the cables and why certain components were used, and the version control. Well, there was no version control, and like what the current production releases, why components were changed based on like instrumentation data or customer feedback, and like why we got to the point that we're at. Like the designs are good. It's a good product. The cable is probably like the best in the world when it comes to analog video. It's more of like the operation side that was the challenge. But I felt that with my background in manufacturing, new product development, and operations, I could solve that part of it. And then the other part is, well, who's going to build it? I don't have, I personally don't have 30, 40 plus hours a week to hand build custom cables. I have a day job. I have the Kaitor Industries and like I said, a small child at home. So, and occasionally I do want to do fun things too. In the rare circumstance, right? Yeah. maybe I'll go to Europe or something and send Steve some photos with my passport
and everything.
Yeah. But yeah, so I had to partner with somebody for that because I don't have the capacity. I have to be realistic about it. And a very close friend of mine, his name is William. He owns Syracuse Synergy, which is I'll talk a little bit about what he does, but he basically does like commercial audio video, like conference rooms and presentation rooms and ballrooms and bars and clubs and a lot of that. So I actually co-owned a business with him almost 20 years ago, and we did the same thing. We did like a lot of security cameras in bars and restaurants and clubs and all that. We also did structured wiring, which is where you pre-run like smart home stuff in new construction homes. A lot of that is wireless now, but back in my day, we actually had to run cables through the walls. And so there's a lot of experience that we both have building custom cable solutions. And obviously, it's in construction, so it's a little bit different than a consumer product, but there's a lot of overlap. Like when you build cables for stage, you are soldering like mini XLR cables to go to, audio racks for DJ equipment and stuff like that. So it's different connectors and different cables, but like the fundamentals are the same. And it actually worked out really, really well because he has this expertise and he is looking to take on more work. He has the capacity, he has the workshop space, he has the attention to detail, he has the knowledge. What he doesn't have is the connections in retro gaming and the knowledge of retro gaming systems and why the components were chosen the way they were. So it actually works out really, really well because I can take that side, the marketing, the understanding of how and why like certain components were chosen, the engineering, the documentation, and then he can work on operations, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Okay, interesting. So we're starting to pull this picture together of how this will happen. One question that I had then, I guess the question is, we got a lot of questions, and please put them into the chat. Now we're deep into the murky waters.
Here we go.
Let's go for it. Why? I guess the first question is, what exactly are you buying? When we say you bought Retro Access, what did you get? Intellectual property? Did you get something physical? The rights to use the brand? What are you taking?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So we purchased all the inventory, the test equipment, the intellectual properties that includes like brand names. Fortraflex, Retro Access are the only two brand names that are used, and the social and web marketing accounts like retroaccess.com and the Twitter account. There was an idle Reddit account. Hasn't been used in like 8 years, but so those things were part of the purchase, and also the engineering design. So like the circuit boards and the 3D print models, the 3D models that go into the printer. So that is basically what we purchased. We did not actually purchase her LLC that she owns. We purchased the assets of that LLC.
Okay, and what you said makes sense, so that sounds reasonable. So my follow-on question is then, the cable. Okay, so maybe you got some cable, you got some physical assets from that, stuff to make cables. There's some of that. Okay, maybe that's easier to source than somewhere else. The designing of the cables, because there are other creators out there who are coming from nowhere, making their own great cable designs, and we're thinking of a buddy of like. But you felt it was more advantageous to pre-buy that, like, because I'm just seeing other people in the market who don't need to buy someone else's brand, who like it's not that hard to bootstrap your own cable brand. It's another possible, let's say, So, but you've made the decision that you wanted to take the retro access stuff. Why did you decide to buy rather than build yourself?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously we did consider that, and that you have to look at every single option, and when you lay out all the options, one of the options always has to be, on any decision, do nothing. So this comes from construction and manufacturing. You lay out every possible path in front of you, and some of those paths are like quite obvious that you don't do, but you have to weigh the pros and cons when you make a decision like that. And is it the right decision? I certainly hope so. Because you're right, we could have just spun up a new entity, purchase cable, but then when you're doing that, you do have to develop all those designs. You have to place minimum order quantity with factories, because believe it or not, they don't have this stuff sitting on the shelf anymore. Virtually every single cable factory has moved away from building like 7 conductor or so 75 ohm rated cable. It's like for analog audio video, it's obsolete.
Oh, so the cable you're specifically referring to here is the hard bit to source.
So
Rachel already had like quite a stock of cable. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, there was a stock of cable. And I mean, you can get cable that doesn't meet that spec for cheaper and with lower minimums. Sometimes it's what's called a COTS, commercially available off the shelf, which means you can just buy it in whatever quantity you want. But many times that's not the case, and especially when you get to like that mini coaxial with the 7 conductors, I'm not aware of any factory that has that off the shelf. It may exist somewhere. This is a really big planet, but I'm not aware of any. So you basically have to custom order it. And if a factory is going to do a run for somebody custom, it has to be worth their while. So there are minimum order quantities, MOQs, on what you can order. So we're going to have that cost either way. And so that inventory is part of the equation. And then the other part of it is, of course, like the SEO, the search engine optimization. There's 10, 15 years of YouTube videos and podcasts like this, and forum posts and Reddit posts and Discord posts and everything else where like retro access is known. And in the past couple of years have been challenging, but the name has been out there for such a long time that people are aware of like what it is and what it represents. So that has some value. Mostly positive. There's probably some negative, but it's a mostly overwhelmingly positive name. And then you have the designs, so all the circuit boards. Now I have the ability to design all of those things, but it's obviously going to take me a lot of time to design all those things and prototype those things and then go through qualification procedures. So acquiring a company is a shortcut. Now, we will probably refine and replace and obsolete those designs with time. But in the meantime, it gets us something that we can have today and basically just hit the ground running.
Makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah. We see where coming from.
That's the logic behind it. Now,
Sure.
There's probably arguments in the other direction, which I'm sure is probably the next thing you're gonna take me on. But
no, we'll get there. You did. I think you've kind of answered this question already, but you made a statement early on, which it's completely understandable. Every business owner would say this. RetroAccess probably have the highest quality cables in the world. And look, I appreciate why as a business owner you'd say that. You believe it. Why do you think these are the highest quality? Is there something inherent in the cables, in the design? What do you think is setting these apart from other solutions? And we don't mean to dunk on other solutions, not at all, but simply looking at you as your own business.
There's actually a lot of great solutions out there, and I think there's been a few that have come up in the vacuum of retro access over the past couple of years that make an excellent product. But what I think Retro Access does that is unique, and what really interested us in it, is that it's mini coaxial cable, which very few companies use. To my knowledge, the only ones that use mini coaxial cable are Retro Frog, which is Todd Gill's company that he makes composite cables, which are mini coaxial. Mike Chi has the new line of cables, which are excellent. I want to pick some of those up. Those are mini coaxial. And then you have HD Retrovision making component cables, which are also coaxial. So there are very, very, very few options for true coaxial cables today. So that is one of the biggest differentiators. And then the other piece is just the vast variety that Retro Access has. So a lot of it is made to order, which brings its own challenges, but you can basically get a cable in like whatever length and whatever sync type, and you can get right angle connectors and straight connectors. Cables for systems like Jaguar, which not many people are making cables for Jaguar, especially high quality. I could probably say something about how Jaguar is not worth spending money to get a cable on, but then all the Jaguar people are going to come after me. They're going to be very, very, very upset. But
so you're continuing on the custom cable thing? Is that something you said at first? You're going to have a certain stock set, but is the plan to go back to this custom cable offering that previously was available?
Yeah, I mean, ideally, just my personal opinion, and also the kind of the sales data proves this. Most people just want like a 6-foot Super Nintendo cable or 6-foot PlayStation cable. Like that's the majority. But then every once in a while, you're going to have this guy that's like, I want a 12-foot Jaguar cable, and I put a mod in this, so I want like different type of sync or something. Like you're going to get these wacky cases, and obviously like that costs more to do and it takes more time, but there's a market for that and there's people that want that, and there really isn't anyone else that's doing that. So I think that's really interesting. So yeah, we're going to focus on like the core of the business, which is probably like 80-90% of the business is like a 6-foot Super Nintendo cable, 6-foot Dreamcast cable, whatever. And we want to get to the point where we have like reliable stock so you can just buy it and it ships, which is kind of the expectation of most people these days. But then also have the option of being able to custom order weird stuff. And that's going to evolve. We're probably going to make mistakes along the way trying to figure out what mix works best. But we'll get a handle on what people are looking for, and we'll constantly be tweaking that, to make sure that we're meeting what people are looking for.
You spoke earlier about I asked you what had you actually bought when we say we buy Retro Access, and you spoke the brand, a bunch of physical cable and other stuff. And now, what about, let's call it the liabilities of Retro Access? So apparently, as I've understood, there's no back orders. The back orders have all been shipped.
Yeah.
But did I hear something about you will be honoring the 2-year warranty? Talk us through that situation. What's happening there?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that's obviously that's a cost to us because we made $0 on any of those sales. So that is a liability and a risk. And we did not have to do that because we didn't buy the legal entity that was Retro Access LLC. We could have just bought the inventory.
I would argue you have to, because if you're buying the brand, you've got to. So
absolutely,
if you bought the brand and you didn't buy that, you'd be killing your brand. So
absolutely, no, I totally agree with you. So like we could have just bought the inventory, started a new name, and then said, sorry, you're on your own, but that's not what we're doing. So yeah, we're going to honor the 2-year warranty. Repair cables that have come apart or whatnot. So that is part of the plan. We'll have contact forms up on the website in the coming weeks when we relaunch, and we'll actually have like a proper contact channel through the website. So it's not going to be like Twitter and Instagram DMs. So like we'll take the email approach. It's just easier for everybody. Yeah,
do you have
that
a
is
way
really
to assess that liability. Like, how do you know as a business person what you're getting in for?
We don't really. I mean, it's mostly guesswork. I think going forward, we're going to have a much more robust quality assurance procedure to prevent warranty, because warranty should be a fractional percent. It should be like 0.1% or less of your sales. If it's any higher, it's a problem. So ensuring that the warranty is as near zero as possible is going to be a huge focus for us. But obviously, we had no control over what shipped before the acquisition of the assets, so it's a bit of an unknown.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay. We're getting somewhere. Again, let's go to the chat. Carl's been very honest and open with us, telling us about the situation. Fascinating to hear
Yeah,
everything behind the scenes. How are you thinking, Steve?
I've been hanging out, following along, and also listening to the chat here, and a lot of people, I think their questions are mostly about maybe any kind of, and I know this is probably too far out ahead of things, right? You got to kind of get things rolling and have success before you start trying to jump into new products. But I think a lot of people are asking about that, about different new capabilities for like different types of cables or more cables available. For different, even things like I often get this one now is the component cables for things like the Xbox, the OG Xbox. I think a lot of people too are asking about the lengths of cables, which if you're still doing, when you launch, you're still going to be doing, when you can, custom orders, so people can still get those length to order cables that you're going to be available right then.
Yeah. Our current plan in this, I mean, somebody's going to record this and play this back for me in 6 months. Tell me how wrong I was. But the current plan is to offer at least the mini coaxial in a variety of lengths. So 4 foot, 6 foot, 8 foot, 10 foot, 12 foot. I have no idea what that is in meters, so I apologize. And the Fortraflex, which is like I hesitate to call it a budget option because it's a lower cost, but it is an extremely robust with tons of shielding cable. It's like double the thickness of a lot of the other cables that are out there. That one we're just planning on offering at the 6 foot length, because when you don't have a true coaxial cable, going to longer lengths is how you can compromise image quality with reflections and coupling in the lines. So it's better to just cap that than have negative customer experiences, because somebody orders like a 12-foot Fortraflex cable and they're getting like audio buzz or something. You don't want that. So that is the current plan. Now, could we go longer than 12 feet in a coax? Sure. I think that's going to be pushed towards like the custom cable builder, because there's not many people out there that need like a 20-foot Jaguar cable, but maybe I'll be surprised. We'll see.
Okay, so there's these two types of cables I've understood, and you just laid it out there that there's the quote-unquote budget option, which is not budget, but it's much better suited for shorter runs. And at shorter runs, it might be indistinguishable, the difference between the two. Or how would you rate? Because that's a really hard thing in this analog video space, and why Steve and I have endless stories about arguing with dickheads on Reddit about, I bought a €5 S-video cable from eBay and it's fine. And it's like, I don't think you've ever seen S-video before to know that it could be better. That's why you think it's amazing. So, what's some of your thoughts on that?
I think the answer is it depends. It's, I mean, a lot of people are perfectly happy buying like a $20 emulator and playing video games that way. Like they just don't, it's a blurry mess on their TV. They hit the full screen button and stretch to fill because they don't want to see black bars, and people are happy, and that's fine. Like there's nothing wrong with that. But then you get the people that are the enthusiasts. They have a RetroTink 4K. They've got an LG OLED. They get it calibrated. They've got a high-end audio system. They've invested all this money. They're pixel peeping. Maybe spending more time pixel peeping than playing the game sometimes. We're all guilty of that at times. And then you got everywhere in between. So like you got some people they're just picking up a JVC CRT from grandma and slapping it in their bedroom, and they're going to hook up their Super Nintendo, and you're going to see a difference with better quality cables. But the difference is going to be less than if you're blowing that up with a RetroTink 4K and a 4K OLED, and you're looking at it under a magnifying glass. Like obviously CRTs hide flaws, and that's kind of like a blessing and a curse of them. It's a really cool part of the technology. So it all depends on like, what are you doing with it? What's your use case, and how much do you care? Because some people, like, some people can't tell the difference between like 720p and 4K,
Sure.
right?
Yeah,
It's,
right. No, I mean you're exactly right. We've had this discussion before about it's really what I think too when you're in a hobby like ours and you go years down the road, there's also a question of durability where you go back. A lot of times I'll plug in these cables and they just won't work. They haven't been used. They've been sitting somewhere because they were cheaper made. You plug them in and they just will not work. And vice versa. Some CRTs are amazing, mostly consumer grade home TVs are amazing at hiding so much flaws. And then somebody upgrades to a PVM or a professional monitor and it's showing everything in the analog image, and it's like showing it raw, it's showing all the problems, and then you're noticing all the crap coming through the image, and it's because of the image coming out of the device is not as great. There's something in there. It could be cables, could be an unserviced Super Nintendo, something like that. And I think that is another instance where you get a CRT and you're actually seeing the difference. Especially you could see the difference if you start using scalers, right?
absolutely.
You'll pick up
Yeah,
noise.
you take I've noticed my personal Super Nintendos have degraded a lot in the past few years. I don't know if it's just hitting that age where like the capacitors are finally aging out, but I've seen a severe degradation and I've had to recap a few Super Nintendos, and it's brought it back. I actually had one where it wouldn't even sync until I did a recap, which I don't think I've seen anyone else have that problem. Genesis obviously is plagued with video problems, right? You hook it up to a PVM, you see all the jail bars, and it just yeah, absolutely. It's like the entire chain. If you want, because people, especially in this space, are like seeking perfection. It's just like you're chasing the dragon forever. And
right, it's analog. There really is not.
Analog is so imprecise. It's so imprecise. And like your device has to be flawless, and it never will be. And your cable has to be flawless, and it never will be. And the magnetic field of the Earth has to be flawless, right? Like I'm sure Steve, you've experienced this. I'm sure.
No, I have to explain to people.
And you rotate a TV 90 degrees, and it changes the picture quality because of the Earth. So unless you can fix the Earth in place,
there's so much, and I even try to show people that if they get into the professional monitors that are CRTs, if you get into their manuals, it will practically say that there's a cap of where they'll get to like 97 to 98% screen reproduction capabilities, where even the perfectly manufactured Sony BVM cannot produce 100% screen for can't produce 100% image reproduction. It's like just not possible with analog video.
Yeah, especially up in the corners, right?
Yeah,
it's just
anywhere.
You're never going to get there.
You never. So I thought this was a pretty good question, and this would again be something that would be down the road. Do you plan on trying to venture out once the inventory levels get caught up and partnering with any other, trying to partner with any other, I don't want to say this, like Stone Age Gamer, distributors.
Do you plan on having other distribution channels?
You trying to get there, or just sticking with your website? I guess other people are asking.
Yeah, I mean, that is definitely a consideration. Nothing is, there's no ink on that yet. But I think there's pros and cons to that, because obviously you take a margin hit because they have to make money. But with distribution, they of course have a wider reach. You have an audience that trusts them, that knows them. So that's certainly under consideration, but no decision has been made yet.
That's interesting, because at first thing I would have gone like, oh, you've got the brand. I mean, that's the reason you bought the brand. But then when I sit back and think about it, HD Retrovision also distributes through such people, and Amazon, and they've got also an awesome brand too. So there is some value in that. So no doubt that is something that will evolve over time. But I just I guess I challenge my own thinking in that regard.
Yeah, Nick and Steve, they also, as far as I know, they both have full-time jobs too. So they can't sit there and package hundreds of cables a week. It's just there's a finite amount of time, right, in our human lives. So distribution does a lot of things for you. They offload a lot of those things, like point of contact with the customer, handling warranty, handling, unpacking from the factory and putting it into a package for a customer with an invoice. Like all of those things take time, and they do have value, and that's what a distributor does. It takes the load off of you as your volume grows.
I had a question before we went into this, and I guess you've somewhat answered it, but maybe it serves being direct. In previous chats over the last week, Steve and I have sort of found the delineation of cable makers who custom make themselves and cable makers who have developed great relationships with makers outside. So, there's our guy in Albania, but then there's Mike Chi, who already has the contacts in China and other countries to be able to manufacture. I know Hasty Retrovision have had a hell of a time over the years, but they've now got those things. And it seems like from what you've been saying, you're going to stick with the homegrown, like home manufacturing, exactly what our president wants, to make things at home. Do you ever, is there any thought or what you might want about eventually moving to it being outsourced manufacturing, or is it we're keeping it with your colleagues so far?
Yeah, so obviously this has to be a consideration too. Like this is one of the things that we're talking about. And maybe this is where the boos start coming out in the chat, but I think there's a real value in partnering with a factory that can do things at volume and repeatable quality. Factories have gotten really, really, really good at building cables perfectly every single time, provided that you work with them on the quality assurance procedures. The level of discipline coming out of some of these factories is extremely good. There's a huge amount of value in that, and I think it would be silly for us to ignore that, whether it's for politics or patriotism or whatever. We're not getting rid of the custom built USA cables, so I can say that. But that's not to say that we won't partner with somebody in the future. I don't want to rule that out either, because like I was saying earlier, most people just want a 6-foot Super Nintendo cable, and most people don't care where it was built. I mean, that's just the reality. So if we can focus on custom cables and being able to deliver custom solutions for people, and also partner with a factory that can make high precision, perfect cables every time, just like HD Retrovision, just like what Mike Chi is getting, that's something we have to look at for the long term. But there's no decision made yet. There's nothing that we're doing today like that. But I think it's something that we will be looking at. Yeah.
Well, just to before we jump off that, I was going to say a good thing about that people should really realize is that's kind of what's going to drive new products and new innovations, is the freedom of business owners to be able to focus on designing new products, testing new products, and having these backbone products already ready to go. And literally, you can't have a guy sitting hand soldering your 6-foot Super Nintendo cables all day.
For sure.
So that's sure.
And also, if there's volume growth, or if there's pricing pressure, you have to be able to be flexible enough to do those things. One or two guys aren't going to be able to solder hundreds of cables a week, right? You need to have a factory to do that, and you have to have machines and automation to be able to do that. And that's not to say that we won't ever have those machines. It would be pretty awesome if we did. But realistically, these factories are taking orders for, hundreds or thousands of different clients. So they're leveraging these machines and running them 24/7, 365. Versus, if we spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on cable machines, which is money we do not have, how often would that machine be utilized? Like an hour a week, right? Because they whip through cables so fast. It's like sprinting speed. And
you have to take other orders.
That. Right.
You'd have to be taking orders, right, from other people. So
yeah, so it's all a consideration. It's very complicated. But for now, it is going to be mostly business as usual and doing made to order and custom order cables.
All right. So from now, what is like your anticipated launch date? Like, do you have one coming up?
Yes. Yeah. We our goal. So this is our goal, not like a commitment that it's definitely going to happen. But our goal is to have the website live by August 15th and have orders open that day with a good amount, probably like half of what the old Retro Access was selling regularly, like half of that available. So like all the popular stuff will be up there, you know, PlayStation, Super Nintendo, Genesis. The so-called weird stuff, like the slow sellers and the odds and ends, those will be listed most likely as out of stock in the beginning until we can get our footing under us and just get a handle on, you know, where demand is and what demand is before we go live with more. So you're gonna see it grow.
I think, look, what you're doing is great. There's still you've laid out for us how you've obtained this stuff, what you're going to do. Can you, I guess, to the people out here and everyone listening, with the old stock, can you guarantee these cables are not going to smell like cat's piss? Like, is that, am I going
We're, we are live,
that-
so we can't
that
cut
a-
that.
I can't cut that.
You
Is
can't
that
take
going to
that
be,
on post.
is that going to be a problem if I, you know?
They will not. No, but in all seriousness, we are going to be cleaning all the inventory as well. Nothing to do with, you know, the factory, but
Nothing to do with that, okay?
because, you know, everything, all the PCBs are going to go through a bath, you know, in a ultrasonic cleaner or isopropyl, because we have to sort everything, and everything right now is in bins. It's just chaos. So sorting all of that inventory, cleaning it, prepping it, getting it labeled, getting everything inventoried so we actually know what we have, like the counts, cycle counts. That's next step. Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot of work. We got like 2 weeks to do it. So
It's quite a lot. Thanks for being a good sport, Kyle. I appreciate it. I've been holding that one in for the
I'm sure
whole
you have.
time. Sorry.
I do not have any cats.
No, like you get,
Good.
I mean, you get the good with the bad sometimes, and I mean, I don't know, you know, I thought we've been pretty good about like somehow not just completely going off the rails sometimes, and not, I mean, nothing. I think you've done an awesome thing here, and really, I'll be honest with you, Kyle. I think you've kind of saved a company because this was, I mean, it's no surprise you've done a full evaluation of the company that you bought. There was a off the hinges moment there, not by the company, but by the owner. And now that, like, I'm glad that I mean, to be all seriousness, that you've taken over, and I feel like people are getting a chance here to actually, you know, have a redemption arc too for Retro Access.
I mean, I hope so. I'd hope to carry on the legacy in a positive way of what people remember about Retro Access being like the pioneer for these cables that they flat out did not exist. You had like Wookiee Win on eBay, and I think that was like it back in the day. And being for the longest time the only one that had like mini coaxial cable in SCART connectors. So, you know, there's a unique product there, and a lot of people remember it. So I hope to carry that on. I think we're going to do a really good job. There's going to be challenges. You know, it's not going to be easy. I welcome the challenge, but we'll get there. But the main thing that I'm focused at, so like anyone that's read that thing we posted on the main website, the main takeaway is like, I personally am not okay with 20-week lead times. Like, that is not going to happen. We absolutely will not let that happen. I want anything that's custom order to ship within 1 to 2 weeks at the most, and that's like upper limit. And then anything that's stock or made to order should ship within like a couple days. That is how we plan to run the business, and everything will go through robust QC and QA.
You were speaking that you bought an amount of cable, and you were talking about minimum orders and why that was valuable to you to buy that stock because you didn't have to do that. So that then implies that you've got a certain amount of runway of cable, right? So how, I guess, how long until you have to go and reorder cable? Let's say with your estimates of how you're going to sell, 6 months. Have you got a year's worth? Do you have any idea of that?
Yeah. So our reorder point based on our safety stock and the lead time from the vendor plus transit time overseas and customs processing probably puts us right around January for a reorder point. But that could go completely out the window because no good plan survives first contact with implementation.
Just that you've thought about that is, as you said, no plan, shuffers reality.
Oh yeah.
But just that you've even thought about that, just even you've thought that through gives a lot of people confidence.
So yeah, my day job in global manufacturing with factories spread all over the world and thousands of moving parts is nonstop outages. So having a product line that basically relies on like 2 SKUs is so nice. Like there's basically just 2 types of cable. Oh, it's comforting. I just want to hug it versus having thousands and thousands and thousands of parts.
I think that I think you brought up an interesting point a little bit earlier where you said a big challenge kind of prior to what's happened the last few years is that you do have a segment of customer that would maybe go on and try to order a cable, and then they ultimately go order a cable from someone else because they came to you first and the lead time might have been too long or something else. And so it sucks because, like you said, you're coming off of an approach of trying to get a sale, and someone's already come to you to make a purchase, and you've basically kind of run them off. It's like,
oh, absolutely.
It's like running them off, and then they're like, I don't want to ever go back. I just talking about from like a consumer, purchasing.
No, you're absolutely correct. Like if you go to buy a car and that car isn't there, so you go to the dealer across the street and they have the car you want. Next time you go to buy a car, you're probably going to go to the dealer that helped you out. Like that's just how people work, especially if you're happy with it. I mean, if you hated the car and you hated the dealer, maybe not. But if you drive somebody away to another business and they try out the other product and they like it, like good luck getting that person back. So that is an uphill struggle for sure. Like that's a consideration. So best we can do is just execute very, very, very well. And show people the quality and the variety and just be reliable, like actually have the stuff in stock and ship it's not that hard. Just have the stuff, ship on time. That is like the core part of it. Like if you can't do that, you drive people away.
Gentlemen, I'm sorry to interrupt here. I have to go right now. Kyle, I got two screaming kids in the next room. So
good luck.
I'm gonna go. I've dropped the cat piss joke, so I'm good.
Drop off. Yeah, that's fine. See you, Lewis.
We did it. Thank you very much. Pleasure to speak to you guys. Keep on going. Love you all. Thank you for coming into the chat. I'm gonna go sort out the family situation. Talk to you soon, Kyle.
Good luck. Thanks, Zez.
See you guys.
All right. Well, we'll hang out here for a
Steve.
second. I think that I'll have to Yeah. Okay. Cool. I'll readjust myself a little bit here. Excellent. Yeah. So
Steve, are you going to Retro World Expo this year?
Yeah, 100%. I'll be there. Are you?
Nice. I'm going. It's on my birthday weekend this year. So.
Nice. Well, that's good. Yeah, I actually talked with Lance, who's the show owner or one of them, and I'm gonna be there Thursday. I'm coming up Thursday, so I'll be there Friday, as opposed to driving up Friday because I'm bringing at least 7 CRTs.
Wow.
Maybe
Demo
9.
Or units do you plan to sell or to both?
Yeah, sell. I mean, they'll all be for sale.
Nice. Yeah, there's a good crowd there. That was really fun last year, so I'm excited to go again.
I it should be a lot of fun. It usually is a lot of fun. And I try to always get more people to go, so I'm glad you're going to be there. I didn't know with all the changes if you were. Are you planning on having anything for the business there? Are you bringing anything for? Are you just going to try to hang out? Yeah.
I mean, I don't have a booth or anything, so I'll hang out. I guess I can bring stuff. I don't know what I'm gonna bring if I'm just gonna carry it around in a backpacking.
You should
Pack.
you could just bring some sample cables and run them to PVMs and stuff,
There we
you
go.
know, there and say, hey, look, that's a retro access cable.
Power
running
the
that PVM.
consoles.
Yeah.
Power the consoles with this bad boy, and then get some cables. For
Yes,
video.
powers. There you go. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, that would be good because usually power's a problem. It's so many things there. So yeah, my plan is I have two 20-inch PVMs that I got that I don't want to ship, so I'm going to bring them to the show to sell, and then a 13-inch PVM, and then a bunch of like consumer CRTs after that.
RGB modded.
Maybe like it's
straight?
gonna see what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have I never know what to think, so I'm gonna have a different or I'm gonna have a range. I'll have things that are just like I'll have a couple that are gonna be RF only that have been restored.
The ultimate video signal.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
if somebody's like, well, I only have $100 for a TV, I'll have an option for them. Something like that. And then all the way up to like the highest end so that I can have, I always try to give myself a chance of not going out of there empty handed, but usually I go out of there empty CRTs. So, which is good. So we'll see. But I'm excited. I'm going to be doing another presentation different than last year.
Ooh,
So
looking forward to it.
what,
I'll make sure that I book a spot.
So what else? I mean, like, what else do you want to get into as far as the challenges? Something that I thought was interesting is Zez asked me a couple weeks back on her show, besides like the inventory, what you were getting on the value, and I did bring up the point that you have this brand that's been kind of established in older, funny enough, older YouTube videos, and they're not. Like, no one's ever going to change those old YouTube videos to say, oh, this is a different cable or something else, I guess. So you always have that, like, legacy built in. My interesting question is like, is there a legitimate way that you put a value on it? Did you, like, have any way of knowing how many videos the name was out there in? Or did you, like, just already know because you'd seen them that, like, well, that's kind of the way it is, but there's no... Like, can you go back and say, well, it's in this video, or was that even like looked at, or?
It's a consideration, but actually getting the data on that is darn near impossible without, because there was even getting like sales data was very, very difficult. So having something like referrals of specific videos was almost impossible. So a lot of that was guesswork, but you're absolutely correct. Like, no one's going to go back and change those videos. Nobody's going to go back and edit their Reddit post from 8 years ago. Usually you just see deleted on an old Reddit post. So there's like all of that like inertia from 10 plus years of people knowing them as a provider of premium cables that just exists. And then there's a lot of people, like, how many people are watching right now? 5, 6?
Yeah, you're being generous.
Yeah, but like a lot of people don't exist in this in this little space, right? Like people don't follow the Twitter drama and the intercompany workings. Like they Google, good RGB cable. They find an old My Life in Gaming video. They watch it. They're like, all right, I'll grab this, because they don't live it. So I think a lot of people are just kind of in that bucket, and they remember the name, they're just hearing about the name, they're watching an old YouTube video, they're digging through Reddit posts, Facebook groups. Like there's an upscaling Facebook group that has a ton of members. Like these all just exist in the ether, and changing the name, it's a serious consideration. There's pros and cons to that, but I think honestly the cons outweigh the pros in this case.
Yeah, and I mean personally, who cares, right? My fly on the wall to say something, but I agree with you completely that is a huge value, and I do think that a lot of sales over the years were lost to not being able to get it, easy
for sure.
access to it. And
Me included.
And it wasn't. Look, it wasn't. I'll tell you that because you're right. The evolution of this company is something interesting because there was a time where you could only basically go on eBay and order cables from Retro Access. And so when you're running it like an eBay business, it's much easier to just the listing's always there. There's not a lot of site maintenance. People go in and order stuff. They don't know how long it would take. And also there wasn't like a competitive edge where there was another place to go get anything. And I try to tell people that we're really spoiled now. We're really spoiled, meow, to
Just meow me.
Yeah, I did. We're going Super Trooper mode on you for a while there till like, I mean, Lewis just came right out and said it, right?
One of the guys in the Jurassic Park group has a Super Troopers truck or a car.
Just like an old cop car?
It's a replica of the one from Super Troopers. And he's had the cast of that movie like in the car. Yeah, at like a Comic-Con or something. Yeah.
I remember weird story. I remember when that movie came out, I didn't go see it. I can't remember what. It was kind of one of those cult classics, almost like Napoleon Dynamite, where it came out and it was you'd hear a little bit about it, and then it came out and it was like super funny and everybody wanted to see it. And I remember going to like a Circuit City, and they had the stupid radio. Local radio was out there doing a spin the wheel for a prize, and I walked up and spun the wheel, and it said free gift from the prize table. And I grabbed a Super Troopers DVD copy from the prize table, which I still have and watch occasionally. So that was how I learned about Super Troopers. And it was a life-changing kind of DVD, I guess.
Yeah, it's a good movie. And now you have the story behind that physical media is cool. Like, you don't get stories about that like that with like a Netflix stream.
Like, oh,
it doesn't have the same.
I got excited one day and went and downloaded a movie, Googled it, and like read a review, and oh yeah, yeah.
The memories attached to physical media is, I think, what makes physical media valuable, not the media itself.
That's really what makes kind of all nostalgia valuable. There's like two things. I was trying to figure this out. We were talking about how, like, you collect something, right? Probably.
It's just a couple things.
So like the psychology of like collecting things and how it's like largely a male. It seems to be. I mean, it's not solely a male thing, but it definitely is a male dominated thing of collecting stuff. And I don't know whether the psychology is you're trying to relive a memory of something that you had or trying to get something that you saw that you never could get, right? And I don't know what it is about men having to want to relive that, and then like, I don't know.
Yeah, or building entire like train yards in their basement.
Exactly.
Gigantic, intricate hobbies.
Yeah, so you can't like, even if you stop one hobby, you always go to a different hobby of collecting something else.
Yeah,
it's like you never actually stop.
Steve, you want one?
No, I don't. I've got enough. Stuff, right.
I'm trying to get rid of a few.
Yeah, I know. But I don't know if anybody has anything else they want to ask. Kyle, I do appreciate you taking the time to come here and hang out. You're welcome to stay on here with me as long as you want. I'm not like Zez. My kids are grown up. They don't care about me anymore. They're probably still sleeping.
At noon?
Yeah, it's because it's summertime. To take advantage of the summertime, and they don't want to get up because I give them chores.
No. Yeah, or they're just pretending to sleep.
Yeah. Oh, here's a good story. My son is 14, and God bless him. We live on in a college town. Like, there's nothing but the college for the most part, James Madison University, and like when the college students are here, the town is twice as big as it is without them, and the rest of the time it's farming. And there's a downtown area, the campus, old downtown city, and since it's a college town, they have had those bird scooters for 15 years. Like, this was one of the initial launch points, honestly, for bird. So those are those scooters you rent.
Yeah.
So my son is like, Dad, I want to go downtown with my buddies. And I'm like, okay, and hang out for the day. And I'm like, well, I'll give you this, I'll install this bird scooter app on your phone, and I'll attach it to my card and stuff. And I was like, I'm going to put $20 prepaid on here. I said, he went with his friends, and then they were like, he's like, yeah, they got bikes and they got their own scooters. So I'm like, all right, go ahead, go downtown. Well, it's like 3-4 hours that they're hanging out down there. And they finally come home. They get a ride back from one of their other kids' dads picks them up and drops them off at the house. And they don't even come say hey to me. They like hiding upstairs. And so I'm like, hey, how'd those scooters go? And they're like, oh, yeah, it was good. But, I'm tired. I need to go lay down. And I'm like, well, what does that mean? And I'm like, let me see that frickin' app. I grabbed his phone, dude. The son of a gun charged $120 in the 3 hours on these bird scooters rolling around. It's 15 cents a minute. I said, how the hell did you even pull this off? And I'm looking at it's like buddy rides, pal rides, duo rides. It's like all these stupid modes. I guess renting bikes for everybody and letting them all ride around. And it's just like the miles. It's just showing their path. And I was so... so upset. I was like, you mean to tell me you straight up? So I'm looking at the app and I'm like questioning, how much trouble would my son get in if it says the app says you have to be 18 or over. What if I just called him and said he wasn't authorized to use it? Yeah. Would they be forced to reverse the charge? So that's why I had to rent the extra budget friendly tuxedo for Zez's wedding.
I guess so. Yeah.
I think my son.
$120 is still. Yeah.
So never. Yeah, you can't I was laughing because I was like, I don't ever want to give kids responsibility because I've seen them just do the stupidest shit like that. And my wife was laughing and she's like, well, at least he didn't, at least he didn't get in a wreck or something. But I was like, yeah, of course, right? But
yeah, now these days it's so easy to just bill your parents' credit cards because it's all, it's linked to your Apple account, your Android account, whatever. You install an app and you can buy skins in a game. You can rack up expenses on a scooter.
So yeah, what are your plans now? I mean, I know you said the 15th. Is that when the website will be hopefully open?
Yeah, that's the plan. Hopefully we can hit that date. We're working really hard to hit that date. A lot of the website is tooled out in the development environment, so I think we're in pretty good shape. At this point, next steps is get a handle on inventory counts so that we can have reliable stock on what goes live that first day. But we're getting there bit by bit.
Well, we wish you the best, my friend. I'm gonna think we could probably wrap things up here for now.
Sure.
And
any other questions?
I didn't really see anything that wasn't too much jokes about litter boxes from Bob and.
Oh, is that Bob?
Yeah, people making fun of me in this shirt. So I think we're caught up.
There's nothing wrong with the shirt. You need a top hat though. It is a tragedy that you don't have a top hat.
Yeah, big top hat for next time.
Yeah.
So here's if anybody wants to come and please come to Retro World. Come to Retro World if you're considering it. You can see Kyle in person, even though he's not officially there on anything yet. He'll be dressed up as a giant SCART head. That's what you should get. You need to hire somebody to run around the convention as a giant SCART. That would be freaking hilarious.
There we go. He can duel it out with the giant RF, the superior connector.
That's what I should have done. Roger says if it's a t-shirt or a cat suit, that's what I should have done. Dressed up in a cat suit with this. We're gonna get out of here before we get out of more trouble. Thank you guys for joining me today. I really appreciate again Kyle for doing this, and if he wants to come on in the future and update us on how things are going or talk about new products, he's always welcome to. It's definitely our wheelhouse here. Thank you again, friend.
Love to. Absolutely. Thanks, Steve.